welcome back to Primary Source China Investment. This week we're on show R6 and we're discussing China and Taiwan trade. As we've been doing over the past few weeks, trade and FDI are the important factors when we're talking about the global economy. And this week, it's Taiwan. As we're talking about this, China just finished showing off its military and how it might block Taiwan after newly elected President Lai's inauguration address. Beijing was clearly not happy. But if we're being honest, this was not an impromptu act. It takes planning to be this precise militarily. But what about trade? Call it what you want, divesting, de-risking, globalization. Taiwan is becoming less dependent on China. The story that China and Taiwan are linked economically is true, but they are linked a lot less than they've been in the past decade. Exports to China are at a 21-year low. And according to Taiwan's Ministry of Finance, the most recent data for 2024 is even lower. Currently, 32.9% of Taiwan's exports are going to the mainland. And that's a huge change from just a few years ago when upwards of 42, 43, 44% of exports were going. So we're going to get into some of that. And Pengwo, what's your thought right off the bat about this headline here about exports?
The trade Taiwan with the China mainland has highly related to the political, especially U.S. relationships. So firstly, Taiwan is part of China. There's no any questions. So all the government in the world recognize that. And also even China keep this red line. For the trade relationship, mainland with Taiwan is really grows quickly after China joined the WTO. So after that is Taiwan export almost 40% of the to mainland, and after the join the WTO, this 10 years later, this number reached 28%. So after in 2008, Ma Ying-jeou take the control of the Taiwan, and they reached the economy agreement. Hundreds of products enjoying the zero tax. And after that, it still continue high-speed growth of the 10 years, even higher than 40%. So Taiwan get a surplus, probably highest time reach almost the 150 billion US dollar. So even the last year, 2023, Taiwan still get the surplus of the 80 billion dollars. So the majority is because of the this surplus from the mainland supported the Taiwan economy. Otherwise, they probably already get crushed.
Yeah, the U.S. relationship, obviously, if you go back 40 years, right? Taiwan has a Taiwanese people understand consequences of over-reliance on a single trading partner, right? 40 years ago, Taiwan had a no contact, no negotiation, no compromise vis-a-vis China. But at that time, the United States accounted for almost 50% of Taiwan's total exports. And Washington was not the greatest trading partner. They had substantial leverage over Taipei's economic and trade policy. So once WTO entered, a lot of that changed, and now we're seeing it shifting back. This is what we keep talking about. Trade keeps going. It keeps changing and morphing. Now, we have short memories, but remember August 2022, when Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, the Chinese General Administration of Customs announced that they would put a prohibition on imports on more than 100 food, tea, agricultural, and fish-related products. And then 2 days after that, it was grapefruits and lemons and tangerines, and on and on and on. All of this drum and drang was always performative because Taiwan's exports to China are all about electronics. Food and agricultural products represent 0.2% of Taiwanese exports to China and Hong Kong. But your point about there's one China. There is one China on paper, but in practicality, Taiwanese people have their own currency, they have their own passports. If there was really one China, you wouldn't send ships and planes over to surround them. So, there is this one country, two systems hope that the Taiwanese have. But in terms of trade, you definitely see a shift, because just like Taiwan was dependent on the US 40 years ago, they don't want to be dependent on China. And that's, I would say, being successful, right? That's good risk management, if you will, right? The pandemic taught a lot of people a lot of things.
Yeah, that's always get the most important and the most sensitive political topics. Taiwan is okay for them to add the relationship with other area, other countries, act more, adjust whatever they can do. But the trade with mainland is really depend on the political relationship, but they cannot use the surplus to prepare and against the mainland to be the independent or to support the independent people. So that seems the bottom line. But most of the time, they won't be able to do too much. It probably is more rely on the China and the United States relationship.
Yeah, that's the next point, which is, the leading indicator for trade tends to be FDI. And if you look at FDI, you can see Taiwanese outbound investment has really fallen off to China. I mean, it is now, FDI to China from Taiwan is half of what it is to the US. It's actually lower than FDI to Germany. And a lot of this is about chips, and a lot of this is about technology. So if you look at the FDI, it's really maybe 15% of FDI goes to the mainland. Numbers are a lot higher for the US. So there's also an element of FDI in Southeast Asia. Like a lot of other countries, there is this FDI push away from mainland China. I mean, after years of building up in mainland China for manufacturing reasons and other sort of joint ventures, now you're seeing a diversification, if you will, of FDI, and Taiwan is no different.
That's they can adjust their diversification or whatever they can do. But from the reality, most of them looks like they failed or not make the progress. China is still the cornerstone of the Taiwan's economy, especially in the depression is a global economic depression area. So I think they still need to go back to keep the positive political relationship with the mainland and with the other area. So otherwise, I think the trade or economy relationship will be significantly hurt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, if good friends don't sail ships and planes and those kind of things, and good trading partners don't do that as well. So it does look like there is a shift in the relationship. Obviously, politics matters, and global politics matters also, because the big item here, and all of the products are machinery and electronic equipment. That's their number one export, and that's the key place, and that's driving a lot of the FDI as well. You want to diversify away from Taiwan in terms of building semiconductors and chips. So they're trying to build semiconductors and chips in Southeast Asia and the US and even Germany. So with that, we're going to leave it for show R6. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.